Okay, we're gonna go ahead and try this again. I was having a little bit of an issue with the last stream. It kind of froze up, so I'm going to see if anything's changed. Doesn't look like it's working. Well, let me see. Let me just try to troubleshoot some things and see if we can't get going again. I'm not the best when it comes to technical issues, so no, I'm hearing something coming from somewhere, but the screen is still frozen. Let's see. And I'm just seeing if that worked. Let's see. I don't know what's going on. Oh, okay, there we go. Looks like it's working again, maybe. We'll see. So I don't know what's going on, but the OBS that I was using just like froze up, so I exited out and we're gonna try to keep going. Let's see what happens. All right. Let me keep going. So now let's go ahead and try to get an indication of some of the muscles. Let's use red for this. And I might not talk about everything that I'm thinking about or doing, but I'll try to talk. But if you guys have questions or anything, just let me know and I will try to answer those. Let's see, let's do, so we got the sternocleidomastoid muscles. That one kind of comes and it's actually this long muscle that's on the top. You can kind of see that muscle is. Then there's these like columns of muscles that are the erector spinae. How is it pronounced? It's like spiny something. Kind of weird. And I'm just doing the muscles that I'm seeing that are really affecting the surface forms. There's also this little muscle that comes and attaches under the arm that I can kind of see over there, though it's not, you know, these muscles aren't massive. And then the deltoid, which is kind of coming. And that's one of the things with the female figure is when you notice the muscles, sometimes artists are like, oh, I see the muscle, so I want to make it like really obvious and prominent. But then sometimes it starts looking less feminine, more masculine, because you know those muscles are often softer and more let's actually say that they're just generally softer in women. Let's say that that's the mass of the tricep, And I'm not even differentiating between the heads of the tricep. You know, there's three different heads, but I'm just saying like, okay, there it is. And then there's several muscles in here that are reaching around, attaching, but it's quite soft. So I think these muscles, let's also indicate the sternocleidomastoid, which attaches here and then goes to the front of the neck. So let's give an indication for those. Those are really important for the portrait, the sternocleidomastoid muscles. So somewhere up there, something like that. And these are the main muscles that I'm seeing. It's also, this deltoid is also coming around just a little bit. That back of the deltoid. Actually, let's do that again, make it softer to kind of match the other side. There we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do another layer. What do I want to do next? Let's see if we can't find some gesture that goes through the figure. I guess the main gesture is kind of coming up this way. It's kind of a straight line of gesture. Then let's use yellow for some secondary or other forms of gesture that I'm seeing. Some S, I like to use this for like any S or C curves that I'm seeing. This one kind of comes, sweeps, these sweeping curves. And then also maybe there's this, you know, a gesture line. Actually, let's use another color for that. Let's do blue to try to say like, okay, the shoulders are kind of at this angle. Which means that the hips are probably, I'm just going to guess on this one, but I'm going to say the hips are probably at something like this angle, just slightly off, because if the shoulders are angled one way, usually the hips will tilt the other way. And it's hard to see that. I can't even see that there. But again, this is all about X-ray vision. We're trying to see into the figure as artists do. Then I think, let's see what that looks like without the reference image. Let's go ahead and with the yellow, let's try to see if we can't find the hips a little bit better, because I feel like right now when I turn off the reference image, it doesn't look feminine. It looks a little bit too masculine just because of those muscles. So I'll maybe say like, okay, the hips probably curve out and then they curve out again. Something like that. They probably come in and then out and out again. Let's see. Something like that. Let's see. What does that look like? make it. So what he's saying, I think the drawing looks masculine. Yeah, that was an issue I'm trying to resolve. Just because again, when you even when I just outline those muscle forms, it almost instantly feels more masculine, just because the definition of muscles is something we associate with masculine figures, with men. And so even though it's very, you can tell the figure's very feminine, but then when the drawing's there, it just that femininity is kind of erased. That just might have to be what happens with this. There's the bicep. Let's go. Well, I think I'm gonna call it for this one. So and then I might come back to this later, but I've indicated the muscles I wanted to emphasize. Okay. Let's do this one of the eye. And look for some of those forms. So let's do the fat pads first. So there's this inferior orbital fat pad, and then the superior orbital fat pad. let's go ahead. Oops. Fill that in a little bit. And I thought these fat pads in the diagrams looked better when there's a little bit of color on the inside, a little bit of color fill. Oh, hey, thanks for that, Allison G, who supported. Super thanks, or I don't, whatever those are called, where she actually supported with some money. That's greatly appreciated. Let's see. Oh, let's also, you can see some of this upper fat pad. So let's actually, I've got to redo that. Because there's a little bit of the nasolabial fat pad that we're also seeing. Is there another one? Yeah, there is this other one that's also right here, which is kind of the triangular shaped fat pad. It's kind of shaped like that, but you can't see the whole thing. Let's delete this. I'm gonna do that again. So fill. And then just a little bit of color fill. And I think those fat pads are enough to move on to the next thing. Let's do the eyelids. So put these. Actually, let's do green. So we're looking for the gesture of the upper eyelid. And the lower eyelid. And the form and the tear duct. Got the eyeball itself. Let's see if we can't figure out what that looks like. So it's actually a little bit larger than what you'd think. Not that large, but let's see. See, I need to move this around a little bit. remember where to do that. Oh, there we go. So the eyeball itself somewhere around there. Might be a little bit off, but something like that. It's higher up in the eye socket than you think, and the upper, and because of that, the upper eyelid is a little bit more forward in space. In fact, it might even be a little bit higher up. Because the upper eyelid is more forward on the eyeball and the lower eyelid tucks down, and so when the eyeball is rounded, the upper eyelid is going to be, you know, out more to cover up the eyeball a little bit more, and then the lower eyelid kind of tucks under, and so the eyeball itself is a little bit higher than you'd think. Go ahead and see if we can't give somewhat of an indication of the eye socket. So the eye socket, the brow is pulled down, but the eye socket itself is coming up here. The eye socket is more rounded in women. Not quite that round. Yeah, something like that. And it is angled a little bit. I've tried to show that angle. Then let's do some, let me see, what can I change this color to? Change that color just a little bit, because with the blue I'd like to do some grid lines just to show that there's kind of a concave area in here. So let's just do that. So there's kind of, let's draw this shape to say from the so this shape right here, part of it is convex and then part of it is concave. So inside here, like comes in and something like that. And then over here, it's rounded, comes out, kind of bows outward. Let me see if I can show that. And so let's get some other lines. So here it goes out, and then here it goes. Let's see, I want trying to draw them in a way that it makes sense, that part of it is kind of pushing out towards us, part of it's pulling in or pushing away from us. Let's see, Randy Ranson saying, I'm starting to see where you're going with all of this, and it has a lot of merit. I think it liberates artists within. Well, I hope it has some merit. Yeah, I hope helps people kind of see some of the forms that we don't always realize are there. Let's see if I'm trying to, and then this swoops. Let's see if that is a better way of. It's difficult to get that sense of this part coming out and that part going in. But let's see. Maybe I'll do it with color, actually. Let's go ahead and duplicate the layer a couple times. Down to 25%. Layer underneath. Let me see what that looks like without the. That doesn't quite sell it, so I might have to figure out another way to do it. But I'm just kind of playing around with it. See somebody saying, so cool, I love it, it's amazing exercise, I'm going to try it my next drawing study. Yeah, absolutely. And again, anybody that wants these types of diagrams or references, the ebook, An Artist's X-Ray Vision, the male figure, is the first link in the description of the video, and that's where I have a bunch of these diagrams, and this one is for the female figure, and so there'll be a lot there as well. This is just one of what will be many, many similar diagrams. So yeah, maybe that color differentiation will be enough. Let me be enough to say kind of what's happening. Let me actually go in and give an indication of the iris as well. Something like that. Somebody's saying just thicken the stroke on the form curves with the same color as its enclosure. I think referring to the brow, kind of trying to differentiate between the convex and concave areas. That's a good suggestion. Though I think, let's see. Let's also on this give just a little bit of an indication of the kind of about where the brow ridge of the nose would be as far as additional bony structures. What other colors? So I do have some, haven't done anything with red. Let's do something with red. Just kind of, let's do the eyelashes to just say that the eyelashes are coming off of this outside, part of the eyelid. Or I mean the outside edge of the corner of the eyelid. So I'm just gonna kind of give some indications of those. But generally you don't want to draw like individual eyelashes like this, but I just kind of want to give an indication of the direction of the eyelashes. But you can see that those are coming out of the outside edge corner. You wouldn't want them coming like right out from the eyeball. Something like that. And then let's also do the eyelashes. Kind of looks weird a little bit. Well, no, it's okay. Just kind of as a direction of where things are going. I don't know if I like that. Well, I think I prefer it without. So we'll go without, and we'll try to include that visual in one of the next ones. Let's see. So let's get some of these images. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do this one. Okay. Kind of focuses more on the portrait. And the shape of the head. Let's see if we can't get some, let's do some gesture first. The green. So we got this gesture, this kind of nice sweeping S curve that's running from the hair down the face, the curve of the neck that's coming forward, and then the curve of the back. And then if you could see down here, it would also kind of curve back, but I think just that S curve is enough for that. Then let's see, with the yellow, let's try to get a general sense of the shape of the head overall. So we're gonna do kind of that bloated triangle shape. Let's try that again. So kind of comes this way, then this way. Let me try again. And yeah, I'm just trying to simplify it as much as possible. I feel like maybe that was just too much simplification. So let's do the shape of the face. And then simplified shape of the face. And also have it just come back around. And that hair's thrown me off. So the skull itself probably comes down a little bit. something like that. It's really hard to tell with the hair, but that's what this ebook's all about, is trying to see through the distractions and get to the essence of the figure, of what we're trying to observe. Just gonna skew this just a little bit, and that feels better. Okay, something like that feels good. I don't know if you guys can. Okay. Now let's go and do a different color to get some a sense of where the just going to kind of draw some rhythms through here of some things that I'm seeing. This is coming forward. To say, like, this is the, there's that, there's the nose, bottom of the nose. And there's the rhythm that travels from the midpoint of the ear, kind of comes down towards the chin. Let's see, and then on this side, that would be over there somewhere. Let's see, I actually feel like that this line right here was a little bit off. Needs to be more forward in the face. Actually, let's maybe I was okay with that. Then the nose. So the nose, I want to get that sense of how it comes around. So maybe trying to see if this is making sense, if it looks good. I want the diagrams to look good on their own and accurate. So if I don't feel like things are working, I'm gonna want to switch things up, and I don't feel like this is very clear, so I'm gonna remove some of the things that I did. Let's do a new layer. Let's try to find a center line that runs along the forms of the face. Let's see if we can do that. So the center line would come run up the nose and kind of tuck in a little bit. Tuck out, pull out. There. Something like that. I'm trying to imagine if, you know, if there was a laser that was just showing a straight line over there, but because her face is turned, how would that show on the face? And that feels pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. Let's see. And then, let's see, I want to wonder if this one would be a good one for the fat pads. Maybe not. I think they would get too small. So let's try to go over like the major things. So I think I want to switch the color of the outline. Let's change that to red so that I have the yellow for something else. Then with the yellow, let's do these kind of lines that try to say what's happening on the surface. So this comes around. So there's this like hill. Pillowy pads of the lips. Like that. See somebody saying, as an artist, thinking while he's drawing, it must be quick, evident, and simply by immediate design, you're building an artist's thinking tool. Yeah, it is, and it's kind of hard to like talk about what you're doing some of the time. It takes a little bit of practice to be able to explain what you're doing while you're doing it. So sometimes I'm just doing it without giving a lot of explanation, but I'm trying to get better at that. Let's see, and then somebody says epic lips. Yes, very very pronounced full lips, which are very very feminine. let's actually, with these kind of soft, while we're thinking about these soft pads, we will go in, do some of those to the nose as well. So let's see. So we have this, and I'm going to combine these. You know, there are separate fat pads there, but because of how smooth the nose is, I'm just going to combine these two pieces of cartilage that are actually separated in the nose into one continuous piece, and then we'll just say okay, and then there it is, this over here. Something like that. And because the eyes, let's see, I want to do something. Maybe I'll keep going with this color and also try to give an indication of what's happening with the eyes as well. I'm just gonna give like really thick. There's that outside corner of the eye socket. Let me see. I think I like how that feels better. This layer I don't think we need. Maybe I'll do just a little bit more with this blue color. Let's do the superior temporal line that comes down, that comes from the side of the skull over towards the outside corner of the eye socket. And then maybe, actually, no, let's do that with the color that I use for bony features, which is this turquoise. So let's say, boom, that comes towards the outside corner. Then there's also the cheekbones, and for these I'm just going to give just a like simple line, just saying like this is kind of where they're at. There's the mound of the mouth, which is over here, and that goes to the chin. chin right there. I feel like that's too much information. So let's just do the cheekbones, and maybe just a little bit for the eye socket. What other bony feature? Maybe maybe that's okay for there. With the red, let's also go ahead, since we gave like a rough indication of the head, let's also say a little bit of what's happening with the neck and the rib cage maybe as well. So the neck is kind of coming down. Kind of this cylinder that comes down. Something like that. And then there's the, the deltoid on top of the cylinder of the arm, and we'll just kind of give some lines to indicate that. And then also the rib cage. Oh, I don't know if I want to use red to do that. The yellow, let's come. Zoom in just a little bit more. Come down around here, and then looking for S curves. So I see one here running down. Like that. Or C curves, like here with the arm. That's actually Okay, I think, trying to think any visual information that would help with this. What's happening here? Let me remove some of these to... Yeah, somebody's saying sometimes less is more. Definitely. And I can always, in fact, some of these I'll probably end up removing. Sometimes there's just layers where I'm just like, that doesn't feel like it goes with the rest. But then at the same time, I'm trying to balance that with also just trying to have as much information as I can in each, set of diagrams that I do. I do feel like something that I'd like to try to indicate with this one is just, well, maybe not. So I think, yeah, let's call it for this one. We will, I think I don't like that arm with the red. I feel like that's a different thing. So let's just do the simplified head and neck with that red. Because I try to do, each color, I try to have it just be its own thing for the diagrams. Okay, so there's all of them. Okay, let's turn all these back on. Okay, so let's see, how many do we have for the portrait? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So let's go to some of the other parts. Let's see, legs. Let's do some of these legs. Some of these still need diagrams. So let's choose one of these one. Oh, I like this one. So I've gone through these images. So some people were wondering what app I'm using. I'm using Adobe Fresco for this one. And the images were from Pexels, so Pexels, which is a website that has images that are free for people to use for artists and everything, and people like donate by uploading images that are then free for people to use. And so that's a great resource if you're interested in anything like that. And so let's see, somebody saying, as I am drawing, I will see the color and script or sculpt my way, dealing with one color at a time. So if they're coordinated effectively, I'm to the races. Yeah, I like to have like different colors for different tools, and I try to do that every time. But sometimes there's like a principle I want to show, and I have to use a color I wouldn't usually use for that. But for the most part, I think that's a good way of trying to go about it. So let's see, we got some nice gesture. Let's start with that. We got this sweeping, let's see, this gesture that comes through. It actually curves back a couple times. It sweeps through, but let's just say that that's kind of the primary gesture of the leg. And then with this, I like to indicate some of these surface forms. So there's actually, you know, some of these will be muscles, but some of these are joints. So for example, this right here, this is mostly made up of the joint of the knee, but you could get it confused with a muscle. But I'm not differentiating with this color. I'm just saying there's a surface form here that kind of bows out, and then this surface form, this kind of teardrop surface form, is a muscle of the quads. But with these colors, I'm just saying, like, here's a surface form, and then here's another surface form. A lot of these are blended together very softly, so it would be a mistake to differentiate these with sharp hills and have them be like an écorché where there's no softness or skin in between it. It's just a muscle study. So that's not the purpose of this. I'm trying to just say, okay, this is where, like, I see one form starting and another form ending, and then I switch it around. And so let's say that the whole series of the calf muscles, which there's calf muscles, and then there's also the soleus underneath, but that, with this image, I'm seeing as one entire form, kind of flows together. I also see that there's the ankle, so that one's a bony form. And then, you know, I'd also say that maybe this fat pad on the heel that gives stability, and there's also some fat pads on the feet themselves that I'll just give on the toes, give a little bit of an indication of, saying those are soft forms. And then back here, there's this the muscles of the inner leg. And you can't really see it, but I'm going to just say that there's this, you know, the muscle of there's this long muscle of the leg that comes through and attaches over there. Here, it's kind of just, the only way you notice it is by this kind of roundness coming and then smoothing out and then becoming round again. So that's kind of the only hint that you get of it, but I'm just gonna lay it in anyway because it seems like something that we could include. And what is that? I forget what that muscle is. Is it the sartorius or something like that? Maybe not the sartorius. I don't want to say because, yeah, I shouldn't try because it's been, I need to study up on the muscles. In fact, eventually I'd like to do a course, an écorché course, and that way I'd be able to really dive into things. And then with the hips, let's also give an indication of the pubic bone. So there's like this bone here that's also going to be a soft rounded form. In fact, let's say that it's like this. There's a bone with a little bit of fat in that area, and so that's going to be a rounded form. And then there's like a little bit of a break, and then another rounded form for the stomach, for the tummy. And let's see, and then there's this inner thigh muscle over here. Give an indication of that. There's this transition that goes to what you're seeing is the glutes a little bit behind there, tucking behind there, and then also right at that area would be the bone of the, what is it called? When you sit on it, kind of the bone you feel there. It's called I can't remember. I need to study up on anatomy again, but it doesn't really matter that much for this purpose, the name of it, as long as we realize that it's there and kind of understand what we're looking at. That's the main thing. Then let's also give an indication of this form right here, which has a lot of different muscles, but I'm just going to represent it as kind of one form going, and then there's another form behind. So I like how that's going. Let's do another one. Let's do the bones of the leg, and for this, I really like the Skelly app. Let's go ahead and open that, and that I can try to get a similar pose, a similar angle. So let's see, with this one that we're looking at, this leg is kind of out and back. Oops. The pelvis is kind of tilted. Let's see. Tilted towards us. Yeah. So let me try to get the pelvis in the right position, and then I'll try to position the legs so it's kind of tilted towards us. This one's kind of down. And we are seeing a little bit of that back. And the foot is bending really far forward. So something like that. I think that's pretty close. It's a little bit off, but I just kind of want to be able to see the bones from these angles to get a little bit better of an idea of what's going on. Feel like this is twisted a little bit more. It's more like side long. There we go. Okay. Then I can say let's go ahead and switch to this blue color, which I like to use for the bones. And we got a little bit. I'm gonna make some marks, and then we'll go from there. So there's this that goes down to the pubic bone. And the pelvis. And I might do another layer with things where it's not so complicated, but where I draw over top so that it's a little bit cleaner, but we'll see if I need that. And then there's this bone, which if I remember correctly, it kind of has this curve to it, this S curve this way, that kind of follows the curve of the leg, and that's what I wanted to see. So it kind of curves around. Oh wait, no. Is it like that? Curves, yes. So it curves down and then up. Down and then up, yes. So let's do it a little bit better. So curves down and it comes up, and then there's like a very rounded area right here, and it kind of goes back. over there. Don't like that too much. Down, up. Something like that. Might need to do this in multiple lines because sometimes it's hard to get the line perfect. Yeah, a little bit thinner and then goes to thicker. So thinner, and then it goes to thicker. Let me do a new layer. Man, that's really hard to get right. So sometimes we'll just take our time. No rush. I don't know if I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and erase what I had on this layer so I can see things a little bit better. I think I like what's happening with what I've given as an indication of the pelvis, so I don't need to change too much of that. Maybe I'll just clean up some of these just a little bit. Then, yeah, I wish, so this app doesn't have the ability of like split screen, which a lot of apps do, which is unfortunate because it would be nice to just be able to switch back and forth. But it is, I feel like I'm not trying to copy it, so I think it is okay, and we're just trying to see what we can and do it. Okay, I think that's good. Now let's give the indication of the kneecap, which would be somewhere right there. And then there would be this other, the bone that goes from the top down to the ankle. And this one, let's see, is this? Yeah, and then the other one would be behind it. So that's the tibia. Big one, really thick up top. And let's see if I captured the gesture okay. Yeah, I'm okay with that. And then there's a bone for the calcaneus up here. That's kind of like this weird bone, something like that. Again, I'm not trying to make it perfect. Just saying, you know, there's a bunch of bone in this area. We'll go ahead and an indication of those. Something like that to say that there's toes there. Okay. Just trying check on things, make sure everything's good. Okay. Let's do some more gesture lines with the yellow. So usually the green represents the primary gesture of the pose. In this case, it was the primary gesture of the leg. And then, if I can, I like to use the yellow for the secondary gestures or S or C curves that I see that I'm just interested by. So let's turn some of these off to so that they're less distracting. Let's merge that down. Wait. Okay, so we got that one. So I want to do, like, there's this curve that kind of comes and then goes up and then down and up again. And the same thing on the foot, kind of comes and then curves around. We could say this kind of curves. Actually, let's do this. Let's do, there's a tip that I talked about of seeing the leg as a gesture that goes from the leg down to the toes. This is gesture right here. And then you see the oh wait, we already used that one. You see the, let's see, let's turn it red. The heel as its own, kind of its own separate entity. Let's do that. We'll do all those red. So there's number 1 and number 2. So oh wait, let's see, I wasn't done with that. Okay, I think let's go with that for now. Let's get an image by itself. Image with all of these turned on. Image with themselves. Okay. on this one. Again, we got that primary gesture that comes sweeping through. On this one, I feel like there's kind of this S-curve that comes around a little bit. I'll give a little bit of an indication of that. Then with the red, let's do that again, where we isolate the calf down to the toes. That's one gesture. And then separate from that is the heel, which is its own thing, its own entity. And then here we can see more of what's going on. So there's, you can see a little bit more. This is kind of the a bump. This is mostly the bones of the heel, I feel like. But I'm gonna give several indications of different forms, different things that are going on. And there's this form here that's kind of going up and out. Actually say, so it kind of comes down. It goes out away. Then there's the, this fat pad here, as well as the fat pad of the heel, which is here. Then there's also, it's not super clear right there, but there is this little bump from muscles and from a muscle or a group of muscles right here in the foot. So I'm going to give an indication of that. Sometimes you see that if the feet are a little bit more muscled, but I do kind of see some of that. Now with the toes, let's go through and just say, like, break it up into those surface forms. So we have this one on the top, and then this second one that's kind of connected to it, and then behind that is the curve underneath. You can see, like here, look at that. So there's like this form right here. Right under it, and then under that there's this that ends with a sharp transition. So there's kind of these, if you wanted to break it up, that's how you'd break it up. But you could also say, like, you could say, oh well, it's just one gesture that comes here and then tucks under as the feet, and that might be more, maybe we'll do that with a different line, because that's also a helpful gesture, because you don't really want to have these so separate as forms. So with the purple surface forms, generally I'm thinking, like, okay, if I was to give subtle, soft transitions, like pillowy soft pillowy forms in between these, what those look like, and that's usually what I'm going for when it comes to these turquoise forms. Let's go ahead. There, I feel like there's one there and one here. It comes sharp at the nail. Thing with the thumb, there's this, or with the big toe, the thumb toe. There's this one, and then this form behind it. And boom. And we will add that toe. Same thing over here with those other two forms. Soft pillowy forms is what I'm trying to think about. Let's see what that looks like without that. Trying to decide if I like how that looks or if I want to switch it up. Let me just add this form of the calf. And let's go with another color. So let's do maybe with blue. We're going to do them more simplified, so just as even more simplified forms. Boom. Kind of rounds off. Just say, like if this was one, you know, a little, like a coil of clay or a little worm shaped piece of clay, what would it look like? And this one would kind of come around. Something like that. Like that. And again. And then let's also combine those fat pads into one. And we'll also say like, oh, okay, this is basically, this is the ankle. Let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. So we have this big form, it goes up. Like that. And then these. see what that looks like. Yeah, I like that. And for, you know, if you're doing a female foot, you probably want to err more on the side of this simplification rather than giving an indication of all of those forms on the surface. Everything should be pretty soft and subtle. So I do like that blue simplification a little bit better. Let's see. Let's actually, with 4 colors, I think that's good. So we'll do just that for that one. A little bit simpler. Okay. Let's see. Let's do this one. Okay, so we got a view back of the leg. And this one, I wanted to include those simplifications that we talked about previously. Let's get have this gesture of the leg, because this one's a good pose to see it, but the gesture that it starts up here, so we're going to do that. So starts all the way up here, comes out, so it comes out, comes in, out, and in again. Something like that. And then on the inside goes like, it follows that line. Follows that line again on the inside. Oh, and that's it.